If you're like me, one of the worst things that can happen when you interview is you get hired by your micromanager. They can be incredibly hard to work with. But in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 great questions you can ask at the end of your interview to determine that person's leadership style and avoid getting hired by a micromanager. Let's go. Now, the first question I want you to ask at the very end of your interview when they say, "Hey Ben, do you have any questions?" is the question, how would you describe your leadership style? Now, this is like interview questions 101. I would ask this to every single person interviewing me for the rest of my life, regardless, but especially if you are trying to avoid working for a micromanager. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, Ben, they're just probably gonna say nice things and tell me what you want to hear. Not the case. Most of the time, people will either have a really easy job telling you exactly what they're like, or they will struggle to come up with examples. But this is a great starting point. If you ask this question and they're able to share with you a leadership style that stylistically makes sense for you, that's a good thing. But if they struggle to come up with exactly what kind of leader they are, I would say that's a bit of a caution flag. Now, this next question is a great one. And it's, can you give me an example of some of the decisions I can make on my own in the role and some of the decisions on a daily basis I would need to escalate for your approval? Some version of that is really, really powerful, because what you're finding out there is you're finding out what are the things I can do by myself and what are the things I would need to go to you. Now, if you're looking for someone who is not a micromanager, ideally, you're looking for someone who's going to say, well, most of the things you're going to be able to make on a day-to-day basis. You won't need to escalate a lot of the decision-making points to me. You'll be empowered to make them by yourself most of the time. Now, on the flip side of that, if you get a manager who's like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I just want to, check the box on, or I want to make sure, but I'm pretty available, so you'll be able to send it to me. Well, what that tells me is you're probably not going to get a whole heck of a lot of autonomy. So it just depends how much you value that. I happen to value autonomy. I want a role in which I can make a lot of the decisions, and I will either be punished or rewarded for the good or bad decisions I make. But if you are someone who doesn't mind and doesn't mind someone's frequent oversight, then maybe it's not problematic. But it's a powerful question to get at the core of how they're going to lead you. Now, this last one is a very powerful interview question, and it's, what is your approach to coaching someone who isn't hitting all of their goals? Really good, right? This tells you a lot about their leadership style. It tells you a lot about how they coach people, how they deal with people not hitting their goals. Are they the type of person to hire quick, fire quick? Or are they a type of person who makes an investment and is going to pour themselves into somebody and help them turn it around? You can really pull out a lot of value by asking this interview question. But one of the things you are clearly going to get is a level of oversight, because they'll probably tell with you specifically their strategy to coaching up someone who is not hitting their goals. How involved is it? Is it someone who really is now going to stand over your desk and make sure you're doing every single thing right? It is a powerful question, and I love asking it during an interview just to get an idea of how they're going to lead people and how they might lead me. Now, in that interview, you might get the question, are you interviewing elsewhere? And some of you probably will hear that question and freeze. Why are they asking? What do they think? This video right here is going to tell you exactly everything you need to know. Why do they ask that? And ultimately, do hiring managers care if you are interviewing elsewhere? This video will tell you exactly what's going on.